In the sweltering haze of 1886 Atlanta, where the air hung heavy with the scent of magnolias and mule-drawn carts clattered over red clay streets, a man named John Stith Pemberton stirred his pot of dreams. He was no ordinary apothecary. Pemberton was a wounded Confederate veteran, his leg a mangled souvenir from the Battle of Columbus, and his mind a battlefield of opiates and unquenchable thirst. The Civil War had left him addicted to morphine, a ghost in his veins that whispered for more. But John was a tinkerer, an alchemist of the everyday, convinced that nature held the key to his salvation. It was a moonless night in May when the secret began, not in a gleaming lab, but in a ramshackle shed behind his pharmacy on Marietta Street. The city was abuzz with Reconstruction's fragile promises, but beneath the surface, whispers of rebellion stirred. Georgia's hills were dotted with stills, hidden distilleries where corn mash bubbled into lightning-clear moonshine, evading federal revenuers who prowled like foxes in the underbrush. Prohibition was a decade away, but the spirit of defiance was already distilled in the air. Pemberton, ever the experimenter, had heard tales from his old regiment comrades, how Kentucky hillfolk laced their hooch with coca leaves from South American traders, numbing the pain of poverty and loss with a euphoric bite. That night, under the flicker of a kerosene lantern, Pemberton unpacked a crate smuggled from Peru, dried coca leaves, brittle as autumn leaves, their emerald veins promising alkaloids that danced on the tongue like forbidden fire. He had kola nuts too, shipped from Africa's Gold Coast, their caffeine a sharp counterpoint to the coca's dreamy haze. But moonshine? That was the wild card, the desperate spark. With a wink to his assistant, a wiry boy named Frank Robinson who dreamed of ink and immortality, Pemberton poured a jug of his neighbour's finest white lightning into a copper pot. "This ain't just for headaches, Frank," he muttered, his voice gravelly from laudanum-laced coughs. "This is for forgetting the cannons at Vicksburg." The mixture simmered, a symphony of sizzles and sighs. Pemberton added vanilla from Madagascar pods, a splash of lime to cut the burn, and a whisper of cinnamon from Ceylon's spice roots, exotic threads woven into a southern quilt. But the true secrecy lay in the ratios, scribbled in a cipher only he understood. 7 parts sugar syrup to 1 of phosphoric acid, a dash of caffeine to mimic the cola's kick and the coca extract. Decocainized just enough to evade scrutiny, but potent enough to lift the soul from its mud. As the brew cooled, effervescent bubbles rose like spirits from a seance, carbonated by a handmade seltzer contraption rigged from a bicycle pump in a vinegar barrel. Frank Robinson, ever the poet, dipped a ladle and sipped. His eyes widened, then softened. "It's like lightning bottled in joy," he stammered. Pemberton laughed, a rare rumble from his chest. "Call it Coca-Cola then. The cola from the nut, the coca from the leaf. A brain tonic for the ages. But this was no mere tonic. Unbeknownst to the world, it was born of bootleg bloodlines, a child of Prohibition's prelude. Pemberton's shed still had been raided once before in '84 for peddling Pemberton's French wine Coca, a wine-infused precursor that skirted temperance laws until the axe fell. Now, sober and sly, he funneled the essence into soda fountains, masking the moonshine's outlaw heart with fizz and fanfare. Word spread like kudzu through Atlanta's saloons and drugstores. By summer's end, 5 gallons a day flowed from Pemberton's fountain, mixed on the spot with syrup and soda water. Ladies in hoop skirts sipped it for female complaints, bankers gulped it for neuralgia, and newsboys hawked it as a cure-all. Frank, with his elegant script, penned the iconic logo, Coca-Cola, in flowing Spencerian curls, a brand born in bootleg ink. But the secret simmered beneath. In those early batches, traces of the original moonshine lingered. Not enough to intoxicate, but enough to warm the belly with illicit memory. Pemberton confided only to his journal, "This elixir whispers of the hills, where men make their own laws. It heals by hiding the hurt." As autumn painted the leaves gold, trouble brewed darker than the syrup. The Woman's Christian Temperance Union, those iron-willed guardians of sobriety, caught wind of rumors. Whispers in church basements claimed Coca-Cola was spiked hooch for the masses, a gateway to gin mills disguised as refreshment. Pemberton, sensing the noose, doubled down on the decocainization, sourcing leaves processed in Atlanta's underbelly by Jewish chemists fleeing pogroms, men who knew secrecy as a survival art. He even enlisted a young accountant, As a candler to peddle coupons and samples, turning sips into sales across the South. By 1888, Pemberton's health faltered like a spent fuse. The morphine won its war, and he sold the formula for $2,300, a pittance for a potion that would conquer thirst. Candler, the savvy salesman with a mustache like a broom bristle, bought the rights and amplified the myth. He scrubbed the French wine stains, painted the bottles red, and shipped syrup nationwide via Wells Fargo wagons. But the Moonshine spectre haunted private ledgers. In dusty attics, Candler kept Pemberton's original notes, locked in a safe with the real formula's vault copy, the one with the merchandise 7X flavouring, rumoured to include a trace of that hill country essence, forever veiled. The 20th century dawned with fanfare. In 1903, under pressure from teetotalers, Coca-Cola went fully cocaine-free, the last alkaloid ghosts exorcised. Yet the brand's DNA pulsed with that Prohibition pulse. During the dry years of 1920-1933, when Al Capone's speakeasies flowed with bathtub gin, Coca-Cola became the mixer's muse. Cuba Libres in Miami dives, 7 and 7s in Chicago cellars. Bootleggers toasted with it, diluting their halls to stretch the sin. Even in the White House, President Harding, himself a rumoured tippler, kept cases stocked, a nod to the elixir's winking wink at the law. World War II echoed the original alchemy. Sugar rations pinched, but Coca-Cola, declared an essential morale builder by General Eisenhower, shipped to troops in green-tinted bottles, its formula tweaked for global stills. In Europe, GIs bartered it for black market cognac, blending old secrets anew. Post-war, the brand ballooned, from 48 bottling plants in 1900 to 1,400 by 1960, a fizzy empire spanning 6 continents. Icons emerged. Santa Claus, reimagined in 1931 ads as a coke-sipping saint, his red suit a subconscious salute to Candler's crimson crates. Yet the Whispering Elixir never forgot its roots. In 1985, the infamous New Coke debacle, a sweeter reformulation, unleashed consumer fury, a backlash like revenuers storming a still. It was as if the soul of Pemberton's Moonshine cried out, demanding authenticity. The original returned triumphant, proving the brand's immortality lay in its hidden heart. Today, in Atlanta's World of Coca-Cola Museum, tourists sip samples under vaulted ceilings, oblivious to the shed's shadow. The formula remains locked in a SunTrust bank vault, guarded like Fort Knox's gold. Only 2 executives know it fully, sworn to silence. But on quiet nights, if you listen close, perhaps with a chilled glass in hand, you might hear it. The faint bubble of corn mash rising, the sizzle of coca leaves in copper, the defiant chuckle of a pharmacist who turned pain into pleasure. This is the story of Coca-Cola, not just a soda, but a secret symphony of survival, where bootleg beginnings birthed boardroom billions. From Atlanta's alleys to global pantries, it reminds us, the sweetest drinks are those born of shadows, fizzing with the thrill of the forbidden. Raise a glass to the Whispering Elixir and toast the secrets that sparkle within.